Alright guys, I wanted to do an update on Bitcoin. We had a nice move last night, pushing up to 5,800, and I wanted to go through the count that I was looking at. In the last video, what I was looking for was potentially this 3 ended here, and we had a 4 and then a 5 that came up and completed there. And I thought that we would get an ABC out of that, where, in the last video I said that I shorted here. We were hitting the 50-week MA, which is this purple line, which I knew was going to be resistance just historically if you look back in the last bear market. And also, previously it was resistance back here. So I did short from here down to here, and I closed out of those shorts once we started getting strength and we were breaking up above some EMAs on the lower time frames. But I didn't add any leverage long positions in here, unfortunately. It was just all spot that I'm holding, all the Bitcoin that I'm holding currently. So I didn't get to catch any of this move. I was actually trying to short it as we were hitting the 50 MA again, and it just didn't work out. So, but the count that I see now that this, I don't see this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that was complete, and we were going to get an A, and I thought we were putting in a B right here, and then we're going to roll over for a C, maybe back down to this green support or a little bit lower. That doesn't appear to be the case now. What I'm seeing is the 4 ended over here, and now we have a 5 that's got to come up. So this is essentially an ABC expanded flat, where the B is higher than the previous wave. So you have an A, the B goes higher than the previous end of the previous wave, and then you have a C that doesn't go any lower than the A. So that's what I'm seeing right now. And we can go down and look at the subdivision on this right here to find out what's going on there, to see how much higher that we could go. But you can tell that we're still in a channel. We're still in this parallel channel right here, but we're above the 50-week MA, which is big. That's a big deal, because it's been resistance ever since back here, and in the previous bear market you can see where it was significant resistance too, and we rolled over and came back down to test the lows again in the previous bear market. So the next area for an MA anyway is the 100-week MA, and that's what I'm looking up around 64.30. I'm looking for that to be resistance now, if we can even get there. We still have this zone right here, which is going to be heavy resistance going into the support that got broken. This was a support that lasted for most of 2018, and when it got broken, it's going to be significant resistance. And the other things that I want to look at here is, assuming that this counts right, we're putting in the 3. The 3 should hopefully end somewhere up here, and we're going to get a 4. Where that 4 goes, I don't know. Maybe it comes back down at that point. This 50-week MA kind of goes like that, and we have to come back down to gather support on that before we go up again to try to make new highs here and get above the this resistance, this volume node around 64.30, where this 100-week MA is sitting. But another thing that you can look at is pull the fibs. So I start from the most recent pivot, which was the B here, down to the C. If you've watched my previous videos, you've seen how I got that count. If you see what we're hitting right now, we're currently hitting the 618, which is gonna be significant resistance, the 618. And if I pull this back, so some people are looking at that fib pull, others might be looking at this one. You kind of want to get on the side of whatever most of the trading bots are going to be using. And if you pull it back to this main pivot back here, let me get it right on there, you can see we hit this 0.5 fib to the tick at 5,800, or pretty much to the tick. This shows 5809. I'm on the Bitstamp chart, so I don't know if it's hit it perfectly, but you can see how that confluently lines up with the 618 if we pulled it from that pivot right there. So there's a confluent zone of resistance right here at 5,800. Not to mention that's where these wicks were in the past. These wicks right here were at 5,800 as well. So it's running into significant resistance right there, as well as this parallel channel that we're in. It's hitting the top of that parallel channel again. Now if we can get above that, the next area I'd be looking for is obviously this base that got broken around 6150, and then the next really confluent area, as you can see now that I pulled this fib from that main pivot, is the 618 up here at the 100-week MA and this volume node right here. So this area right here at 6400 to 6430 is huge resistance if we somehow got through this base that we broke. So I'm gonna drop down to the lower time frames and kind of see where we might be in this move right here, to see if we can figure out if we can get some kind of five subwaves to finish this fifth, which would finish this third wave, because that's where you'd want to get in on a short to be able to ride it back down for a 4 and gather support on this 100-week or this 50-week MA right here, and maybe come back down to this volume node. So that's what I'm looking for. Now let's drop down to the oh, and one other thing, I guess you can look at the RSI too. Typically, and this is the daily, when we get in this range right here, that's where you want to start looking for shorts. And so right now we do have a bearish divergence, but if we continue up, especially if we got to 6400, this RSI would be back in this range again. So that's ultimately where we want to start putting some areas of interest to where we can get some shorts in. You definitely, at that point wouldn't want to be looking for any long opportunities running into that much resistance. You would be wanting to look for shorts, especially when the RSI gets into that range. So let me take this purple line off. This purple line right here, this vertical line, I just had that on there to show that, because this is the weekly close. That's the weekly close for this week. So if we looked at a weekly candle, you see how the weekly candle would start on that purple line. That's all I was showing on the daily, because what I wanted to see is ultimately for us to stay above this 50-week MA whenever we get to this point in time, because that's when the weekly closes, and that would be bullish for us to stay above here on a weekly close. So that's why I had that purple vertical line there. I'm going to go ahead and take it off though. I'm going to drop down to a lower time frame. We'll go to a 30-minute. That might be a little too much. Let's go to an hourly. Alright, so if we're looking at what we have now, you can tell we're pretty much going vertical. But if I break this down in Elliott wave terms, if this counts correct right here to where we finished this sub 3 wave, and we put in a expanded flat where we had an A come down right here, we put in a B, and then we had a C, and this C has 5 waves that you can get out of this. We had a really big wick down, so the fifth is kind of truncated because of this nasty wick, because of the tether FUD. So coming out of that, then you had a 1, 2, and now we're putting in some kind of 3. So that is basically what I'm looking at right now, and I want to see 5 waves. I want to see 5 waves really to gain confidence on when this thing's done. I don't know if where the 3 is going to end on this. Maybe we get something like that. I don't know. Or this 3 might not be done yet. Maybe we still need to come up in one big push and get all the way up here, and then put in a 4, and then the 5 might even go to 6400, or it could double top right here, and this puts in the final 5th wave. So I'm playing it cautious right now, because we still look really strong. I mean, if you look at this push right here, we didn't reject as bad as I thought we would off of the 5800 level right here. We're already starting to come back up to try to test it again. So maybe we put some kind of pattern in and break up and continue higher to maybe test the 6150 area before we put in a 4. And so you can see how this could play out. Let me just show the wave on here. You can see how this potentially play out and look quite symmetrical for a 5-wave impulse. Because typically I like to validate my entries and exits on the lower time frames like this, especially when there's a lot of volume, because these patterns tend to play out a little cleaner on the lower time frames when there is a lot of volume. and so it is beneficial to utilize them. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. Like I said, when I got in short back here, I was hoping that we would get down to here, which we did on the wick. Ultimately didn't close out of it at that point. I ultimately didn't close out of my short until we started breaking up above this yellow EMA right here. And I've just been holding BTC. I'm not in any leverage long positions or anything. I tried shorting it from here up to here, and that didn't work. I mean, we just ripped out of here, so I got stopped out on that. And now I'm still just holding my Bitcoin, not in any leverage positions. I'm waiting for more confirmation to get into a short, because right now it looks super strong. I mean, this volume was impressive. Like I shown on the higher time frames, there's potential for it to get up to these higher levels where there's high confluence with 100 MA, the 0618 fib, and the high volume node at 6430, and then also this the base that we ultimately broke at 6140. I would think it would be gravitated towards that. So that's why I'm really monitoring these lower time frames to get some kind of clear 5 wave to finish. And then, obviously I'll be looking for bearish divergence, because right now there's no bearish divergence. With this big rip out of here, the RSI got pretty extended again. So, this could even make another high again before we start to show some bearish divergence, and that could get us above this parallel channel and up to 6140. So there's nothing to do right now in my mind. The risk to reward's not there to open it long, a leverage long at this point, because we're running into that major resistance at 5800 right here, and there's no point in opening a short yet either, because there's no subdivision, there's nothing supporting that. It's still showing a lot of strength. So I'm going to really be eyeing it as we get close to these major resistances up here, the base that we broke, and then ultimately 6430 if it was to push up that high and get above this base that we broke. So that's my update. I hope this helps. For anybody looking for some ideas on resistance levels, those are my main levels. 5800, 6150, and 6430. Those are the main areas of interest right now for me, and I plan to make my decisions based on those, looking at the lower time frames and seeing what kind of subdivision that we can get. All right, guys, I should have better internet today. I believe everything has come in I got a hotspot that I'm going to be trying out, so hopefully I'll be able to upload videos a lot quicker, and that will allow me to make a lot more videos. So I'm looking forward to that.